one thing we do learn in our industry is that the only constant there is change.
Welcome to Talks with Alona, Untold Stories. I am your host, Alona, and today I am going to be calling Carmen Hota. Carmen is one of the most talented, one of the most incredible photographers that I follow. And she has this mission statement of conscious, sustainable travel, and it's evident in everything that she posts, from her images to her captions, and that consistency is something that I really appreciate. She's a warm, positive, and vibrant soul, and I'm curious to hear how she's handling everything that's going on right now. Full disclaimer, all the stories in this series, real stories, real people, but also just their opinions. Please go on the CDC and WHO websites for the most up-to-date advice and information on the coronavirus. Carmen, thank you. First of all, you're one of the first people to do this with me, and I really appreciate it. You are one of those people that I really value following you, and your journey and everything that you put out is just, it's so motivational, so inspirational, and so educational, which are kind of like the 3 ticks in my book for the people that I follow. So thank you. Like, I'm honored that you're here and talking to me. So let's jump into it. Like, where are you? You travel. I travel. I'm home. Where are you? Like, what's going on?
I mean, so, I lived in New Zealand for the last 8 years. But I have just actually moved back to my home country, to Austria in Europe, and I have moved into a new city that I've never lived in before called Innsbruck. It's the capital of basically Western Austria, right on the border to Italy and Germany on the other side. And I moved into a new apartment on the day that they announced quarantine is going to happen all of Austria. So
wow. What, did you have like enough time to get supplies, or it's a small town? Is it, are you guys fully stocked?
I mean, it's a very privileged country. So the supermarkets were fine, but it did obviously happen so that my first big grocery shop coincided with all of Austria hamster buying and panicking. And so I'm out here wanting to just buy cinnamon and bread. I don't know, the things that you need to set up life with, but everyone around me is buying like toilet paper en masse and flour and all these weird things that you don't really need that much.
Right, that we don't have an explanation for.
Exactly. So funny enough, I actually didn't even bother getting toilet paper and things like this because my very lovely landlord left me some, and I was just like, this is nonsense. I'm just gonna get what I need and get out of here. The really interesting part was furniture, because I didn't have everything, pre-online ordered, and the flat was completely empty and new. So, and IKEA and all these stores closed that day, and I arrived in town, I think at 2 p.m. and at 6 p.m. everything was going to shut for at least, well, they said 1 week, but now it's actually for 1 month. So that was an interesting journey, but we got there, and I ended up getting quite a few things online, and now my place is pretty good.
Wow. That's unbelievable. What kind of like measures are taken within the town? Are they implementing some sort of fines if you're outside, or tell me more about that.
So because we are so close to the borders of Italy, Switzerland, and Germany too, and Italy has obviously been affected really badly, especially the north of Italy. The region of Tyrol has put in extra, basically, laws, regulations on top of Austria's government.
Wow.
So the Tyrol is now on a complete quarantine, which means that if I was to drive, let's say about 45 minutes east to actually see my family, I wouldn't be allowed to. So there's police on the road, and the only reason that you're allowed to cross villages or cross cities from one to another is that if it was for medical reasons or for work. But home office is mandatory unless your work requires you to be present. And so, yeah, we can't really do much. Like, we are allowed to go for walks, but only on our own or with the people that we live with. We obviously have to practice social distancing at all times. So, never come close to someone. So if you were, for example, to go for a run, like, you really make sure that you're not passing anyone closely. And the only other reasons we're allowed to leave home is groceries and pharmacy and postal offices. These are the only stores that are still open, and they close. I think it just started today. They announced that they're going to close them much earlier than usual during the day, just so that the workers can go home and be less affected. And yeah, I mean, the streets are deserted. There's no one here.
Wow. So this must be causing quite a bit of disruption in, your work. You travel, I travel, you're a fantastic photographer, and that's your full-time gig, right? So how have you been handling just like this shift in work balance since you're home now?
I mean, one thing we do learn in our industry is that the only constant there is change. So we are luckily pretty good at adapting. But this one has been pretty out of the blue, because one of my major income streams and one of my, first of all, like the things that I love to do most are workshops. So I basically lead people around the Alps and Dolomites, which is in Italy, and hike with them every day and show them my home. And we stay in mountain huts and hotels, and it's a photo tour for a week. And this year I have 4 of those actually, and one of them is in June. And people from all across the world come, and it's a very well-known thing, and obviously it takes months of organization to get this stuff going. And now I'm sitting here and I don't really know what to say to people, because everyone is panicking across the world. I have cancellations from all the way from Australia for workshops that are in the end of September. People are thinking that it's not safe for them to travel for the whole year now. Right. And of course I don't have information like no one has. So it's like I can't actually say whether that's right or wrongly so. So that's a really difficult thing for me to do right now, because I'm trying to manage over 40 people, like travel plans and my own business, and on something that is quite literally based on uncertainty. So that is definitely, I would lie if I said it wasn't affecting me. Like, it's definitely affecting me mentally too, because I love to do what I do, and obviously we save for rainy days. We are business people, we know what to do, but at the end of the day, it's I love to work. I mean, we love our passion. And then on other projects, in terms of photography jobs, all of them have been cancelled until May now. So it's very uncertain. So all my big trips have been cancelled. I was supposed to go to a bunch of places, which that is fine, because you have to adapt. It's just a strange time. I think for me, I don't want to. It's like you always want to understand your privilege in all of this. At the end of the day, I'm safe, I'm healthy, I have savings, I live in a beautiful city, I can look at the mountains even if it's from my window every day. This will pass. I do believe that within the travel industry, everything is going to swing the other way again very soon. Like, it takes our industry, it takes people like us to promote traveling, full stop. And government is going to have to fund a lot of tourism boards for that exact reason, to eliminate fear, or at least ease tourism back into something. So I think we're going to see a lot of positivity once this has passed.
I would agree. Speaking of people like us, it's so important for us to stay relevant in the space. And like, one of the rules of thumb is to put out content, right? Put out meaningful content. And now it's just like you said, like, it's just such a strange space. So how are you handling your social media channels with regards to, are you posting? What are your captions? Are you trying to distance away from this topic of conversation, or do you find yourself getting pulled back? Like, what do you have a strategy right now with your content?
My only other strategy for my social media accounts is to be myself. So I don't be a way of talking about something that I might be afraid of, or something that is negative. I think it is not just my job to spread positivity and happiness at all times, but to rather be authentic and be compassionate too. And I think, this is something that touches almost everyone's lives right now, some in very, very dramatic ways, and some hopefully not so dramatic in some corners of the world. So I think I'm going to be talking about it. If it bothers me, it does bother me right now. And at the same time, I try and give people hope, because that's what art does. I mean, we seek movies and music, and we go to galleries, and we get together with a bunch of creativity in our lives to distract us, but also even just to inspire us to be better and inspire hope. So I think it's a two-way process. My art always tries to inspire to create. I mean, my whole mission is to create more than I consume, but at the exact same time, I think it would it wouldn't be authentic if I didn't talk about it. And, you know, I try and share positive news just as much as I try and share the facts. Because unfortunately, or, you know, whatever judgment you want to put on it, a lot of people get their news from social media these days. So I do see it part of my responsibility as well to make sure that I don't just sugarcoat it and say everything will be fine and be all good, because at the end of the day, we're not all good right now.
Right, absolutely.
It's a part of life.
What if you run out of like your travel content to post? Are you going to be posting from home? I mean, you live in literally like one of the most beautiful places in the world. You could put your camera out the window.
I guess.
Do you have like a plan? Like, what if we're going to be home for the next 9 months? Like,
I mean, I know that I have plenty of hard drives that I really should be looking at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have also gone nonstop for a very long time now, so it's a bit of a silver lining for me to get to breathe and the book.
I guess the question I'm asking is it okay to move out of your niche? And I got this question from a few content creators before, you know, especially ones that are similar to you that post outdoors, you know, like these scenic things, and now they're like, well, if I'm indoors, is it okay for me to start getting creative in a different way, or no?
I think so, because I think this whole talk about niche has always been very interesting, because like we are here to share our life. I mean, this is, people follow us for who we are, first and foremost, you know, and for the art we create. So if we see art in the everyday, why wouldn't we create it and share that? It's everyone is restructuring their lives right now, the whole world. So no one is going to be like, well, where is this, you know, banger photo from Patagonia if you're sitting at home in Seattle for 5 months? Right. And I think there is a real beauty in being able to do that from your home space and being able to reinvent yourself in that sense too, because you do inspire people that, look, it is all possible. Like, you can still keep going even if these constraints around us seem so burdensome and so heavy right now. So absolutely, I've never really believed in saying it just one niche. Like, of course, your art has to flow in terms of color and in terms of, you know, the way you speak. Like, don't talk about sustainability one day, but then another day promote, you know, Coca-Cola. You know, be authentic in the way you are, of course. But if you can authentically speak about something that is close to you right now, and you can create art around that, absolutely. I mean, this is why, like, the stories of people just sitting in a home and just explaining what the heck is going on, they always do well, because
people love it. People want to see it. Yeah. And you said something interesting about like the industry bouncing back, which I agree with wholeheartedly. But where we stand now, and I think a lot of like content creators would like to know this, should we be talking to brands now? Like, you know, products are still selling. Like, yes, supply chains are disrupted, but products are selling. You know, should we be pitching? Should we hold off a little bit? You know, like, what are you doing right now with regards to your partnerships?
I mean, I'm not pitching right now, but it is a very interesting thought process that I've been pondering over too, because at the end of the day, digital marketing, digital media is going to thrive out of this. Yeah. Out of necessity. I mean, any company that now doesn't focus on how to perform well in terms of the digital strategy is going to lose, because it's unfortunately not possible right now otherwise. So I think there is value in pitching, but you just have to do it the right way. I mean, you know, don't pitch to companies that, you know, are able to sell right now and are able to communicate this right now. I mean, we can't pitch to tourism boards. We can't pitch to like brands that require us to go somewhere very scenic to shoot. It has to be something whose story we can tell right now. Just because what else are we going to do? We can't promise something. Like, I think that's the issue right now, that it's so uncertain that if we now pitch, what can we promise that we can deliver a specific kind of content within a certain amount of time? Because I don't know, man.
Right. Because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
No, because just today in Austria, they increased the time of quarantine, you know, until mid to end of April now. So,
right. But maybe
I think it's really worth like refining your mission, like understanding a lot of people don't really know what their mission is, like doing all that kind of back end work, so that when you're ready to say, okay, I can pitch this and that for this and then, that you know who you are, because this is how your pitch is going to get better. So maybe do a lot of the back work now, and then figure out what you can actually do within your constraints.
How you can execute afterwards, right? Yeah, I love that. let's kind of shift gears a little bit. You are one of the most positive, but also authentic, like not always positive, kind of real people that I follow. But you do always promote, just doing good in general, whatever it tends to be, right? What are some of the things that have stood out to you throughout like the last 3 weeks that everything was escalating? Like, what are some good deeds that you've seen or that you've done on your own or that your friends have done, that have really kind of like reinvented your thought about humanity in general?
I think people doing good for no other reason than to help. I mean, should be the definition of compassion, I guess, and it's really left us in some way, especially on a platform that thrives on narcissism.
Sure.
So I think being able, like, I've seen a lot of people post that if anyone in their neighborhood needs resources or needs help or feels vulnerable and needs their shopping done for them or their groceries and doesn't is afraid of leaving their home because of whatever constraints they're in, physical or mental, and then just going out and doing that is a really beautiful thing. I did that too, but I also I live in a small apartment block, and I just put a note up by my mailboxes saying, if anyone needs help or support, like just text me this number, text me what you need. I can put it in by the front of your door. Like we don't even have to be in contact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all do something like this at a certain level. I mean, yesterday I was watching an Instagram live of probably the two most famous Italian creators, or one of them is a musician, and his wife Chiara Ferragni. They did an Instagram live with Andrea Bocelli, out of all people, and I
saw that.
It was so beautiful, it was so moving, and it's like that's what digital media is for right now. Make us even feel lonely, and it's like that. It gave me goosebumps all over. It
was incredible. I watched
the neighborhood. It was beautiful. It was so stunning. I think just showing like little acts of positivity and kindness amongst everything can be just so valuable right now. A big part of society that I'm really worried about right now is those that are already suffering mentally. For example, those that are already suicidal and now they are being asked to be in self-isolation for God knows how long. Unfortunately that there's a lot of people out there. It's not just the odd one out, and it's far more common than we think. So I think all we can do, man, is like make a list of like 10 to 15 people in your life that are important and just call them up. Like, don't even just call. Hi, how are you going?
I love that. And on that note, if you were to give like one piece of advice to everyone, not just like content creators, I know we spent a lot of time talking about that, like what would it be? Or like what was the best piece of advice that you ever received that you would give now in this time?
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I love that.
Because without hope, we are nothing. I mean, humanity has overcome challenges that seem ludicrous, even in the light of what we're going through right now. We're going to get through this too, and at the end of the day, we just have to use this collective energy for good.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, this was amazing, so valuable.